I'm an engineer, I'm a mom, and I'm a designer, and I love to play. I'm Michelle Lee, and I am the Portfolio Director for Design for Play at IDEO. IDEO is a design firm where we design products, services, experiences. I've assembled some very talented individuals, game designers, software designers, experience designers, to all come together so that we can figure out how we can bring the principles of play over to areas like finance and into education and to healthcare. I have vivid memories of seeing my grandfather taking apart watches, and if they were put together just right, they would tick and be able to tell time. At the same time, my grandmother taught my brother and me how to sew on her sewing machine. So we spent a lot of time making our own puppets, coming up with our own stories. And then of course, the thing I loved to do the most was to draw. And so I was constantly sketching and drawing. Looking back, a lot of that really plays into who I am today. I went to Stanford. I studied engineering, but I also took all of the liberal arts classes at the same time. And I also got to know about a program called product design, and met David Kelly, who is the founder of IDEO and has been a huge inspiration. I loved being able to build things, to come up with ideas, but I did have a moment where I was a bit disillusioned. My summers I spent in aerospace. I was one of 3 women with dozens of men in the office, and I spent a lot of time staring at a computer. And I said, oh no, is this actually what I want to do? Have I worked this hard and then gotten myself into a position where the jobs that are offered to me aren't something that actually appeal to what I want to be? At that point, I was a little bit down until I was doing a problem set late at night in a friend's dorm room, and I looked up and he had all these toys up, and I looked at those and realized someone had to make those. And at that point I started telling everyone that I wanted to work in the toy industry. The role I have today is not one that existed. It's something that I've defined and made my own, and it's because I had this crazy background of starting in toys, engineering, and in being a design consultant. All of that's now come together to create this new offer that's designed for play. One of the great skills about being a designer, things that really serve us well, are being very curious. So going into the world with open eyes, having a lot of questions, and looking for inspiration everywhere. If a toy doesn't make a kid smile, it fails. It has to be something that a kid enjoys. And remembering that joy is a big part of everything we create is really important. You might have an end goal of trying to get someone to be financially literate or trying to have someone learn the skills they need to learn on the job. But if you're not enjoying the path to getting there, you're not going to have that intrinsic motivation and that drive to keep making yourself better and to keep shooting for more. One of the apps we designed is called ELMO Calls. We designed it in partnership with SESAME Workshop. And in ELMO Calls, ELMO literally calls you, and when you answer, ELMO tells stories that help kids feel good about themselves. Success for me is being happy at what you do. And so it's really important to figure out what you're passionate about and to follow your dreams and carve out the path that makes the most sense for you. You don't have to fit into a mold of what people say is an engineer or a designer or a mom. And just recently I brought my daughter in to see a project. By the end of the day, she told me she wanted to work here. So that's great. Well, let's figure out, what's the right role, and we'll figure out how you get there. And she's like, no, mommy, not in the future, today. The career I have today isn't exactly the one I imagined when I finished school. When you picture STEM, and there's a lot of talk about STEM right now, there might be a picture you have in your head about what it means to be an engineer. But when you go out there, I encourage you to try a lot of different things, to explore things that are driving your passion, things that excite you. And when opportunities arise that you don't expect, go for it and give it a try and see where it takes you. Because there'll be a lot of twists and turns, and some of them might feel like they're a little bit of a distraction. But often you'll learn something new about yourself, you'll learn something about what you like to do, you'll learn things you don't like to do. And all of that will combine to help you get to a place that you feel comfortable and where you can excel. And I promise you that in retrospect, if you follow your heart and you do what you're passionate about, it'll make sense in the end, and you will have uniquely contributed to this world in a way that no one else could.